much. I'll take a motion to rise and report, please. Councillor Demong, seconded by Councillor Woolley. On that, are we agreed? Any opposed?
Agreed.
That is carried. Thank you very much. Councillor Davison, can I ask you to move the recommendations on the screen, please?
Yeah, sure. So moved.
Thank you. Councillor Chu, you're seconding?
No.
Okay, can't remember who else. Oh, Councillor Keating, you're seconding?
Yes, I will.
Thanks very much. All right, I am reopening our chat here to see if anyone would like to speak. Councillor Farkas, please.
Thank you, Worship. I'd ask, please, that...
Oh, you're very hard to hear, Councillor Farkas.
Can't hear you.
He's coming through the Teams rather than the bridge.
Is this better?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you.
Well, looks like I have both a computer on and everything. Anyway, Your Worship, I'd please ask that number 4 be called separately. My understanding is that we're obligated that this report be public. So
Yes.
it's a moot point to even vote on whether it should be released because of my
Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Next, let me begin by saying that I'm disgusted that this long settled issue has not been dropped at a time when Calgarians are fighting for their lives and facing financial catastrophe. Rather than turning on each other, I believe our full attention as a council should be on protecting our neighbors through this global crisis and helping with their economic recovery. 510 days have passed since the information I provided was proven to be correct. The Code of Conduct states that a ruling should have been made within 90 days. Since no decision was made within the time limit, I thought the respected ethical and legal perspective of the Honourable John Jack Major, a retired Justice of the Supreme Court of Canada. Justice Major states that in his view, I did not violate the Code of Conduct and that the Mayor and City Council cannot legally expel me from meetings. I wish to read from the letter that I've been provided. Firstly, it says, to Councillor Jeremy Farkas, you have requested me to consider and to take a view on the following.
Hold on, sorry, just pause for a sec, Councillor Farkas. Who is that?
Councillor Woolley, I can't hear what he's saying. I can't hear it.
Are you on the bridge, Councillor Woolley?
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Farkas, can you mute everything else and just make sure you're talking straight into the bridge?
Yeah, I'm on my phone and everything is shut down on the computer.
Okay. All right, please continue.
I'm reading from a letter provided to me from Justice Major. He says, you have requested me to consider and take a view on the following. 1. Did your December 17, 2018 expressions of opinion and Facebook vote card post on the matter of the pay adjustment for council violate the Code of Conduct? 2. Did council act properly in their jurisdiction by ejecting you from the December 17, 2018 meeting and preventing you from voting on matters? Your questions arise from the council debate and other expressions of opinion on the effect of motions regarding an anticipated 2.3% raise in pay for council in 2019. In light of our ongoing national distress affecting Calgarians and all of Canada, it is disappointing that this long settled matter might again be raised by council members. It will soon be 2 years old, and I doubt it has much ongoing public interest. 1. No, in my view, you did not violate the Code of Conduct. As an elected city councillor, you have a primary duty to your ward, but also a general duty to the whole of the city and its citizens. That includes providing commentary on the effects of proposed legislation, as you did. The purpose of Section 11 of the Code of Conduct is to prohibit serious misconduct and simply encourages members of council to comply with the law and abstain from conduct that hurts public confidence. It would be inappropriate to apply the code or the section to political debate or differences of opinion. Furthermore, your statement has been proven to be correct, both at the time and now. 2. No, in my view, City Council cannot expel you from the meeting because of or based on your political expression or views. It is equally the case that they cannot expel you from the chamber, absent disruptive physical conduct that impedes the conduct of the meeting. The Municipal Government Act of Alberta is precise that neither the mayor nor council can expel a member of council, and in fact goes on to impose a duty on councillors to participate in council meetings. Council's objection rendered you unable to fulfill your duties under the Municipal Government Act. I trust that you find this helpful, and I permit you to distribute this correspondence. As a closing comment, It seems necessary to remind your adversaries of what it may have been first said by Churchill, but has since become a maxim. In order for democracy to succeed, it requires vigorous debate. So counsel, given that, and despite my illegal ejection from council, I chose to forgive. In December 2019, I wrote to council expressing my view that the matter was resolved and committed to moving forward together with you on substantive issues. I do not wish to dwell on council's past mistakes. Instead, I am focused on our future, reining in city spending, pushing for accountability, and stopping council from continuing to force through back-breaking tax increases. The information I provided was factual. Furthermore, council is not authorized to remove me from office or prevent me from voting and participating in meetings. Removing an elected official on the basis of hurt feelings is undemocratic and illegal. I'm certain that Calgarians will not stand idly by and watch this happen. And for the record, I stand by what I said. I do not apologize. I ask that my formal response be the 2 letters that I have distributed. These efforts to silence me are so counter to open democratic processes that all Calgarians should condemn this. For the sake of Calgarians, I hope that City Council will put service ahead of their personal agendas and get back to work on the dire economic and social issues facing our city as a result of the triple threat COVID-19 pandemic, oil crash, and global recession. To close, I will say to you, Mr. Mayor, no matter how many times you threaten to remove me, I will continue to attend all meetings. I was elected by my constituents, not council. That is my right and my duty under the law.
Thanks, Councillor Farkas. There was a very, very large number of misstatements in what you just said. I will leave most of them be. The Court of Public Opinion can go through and fact check you if you like. They'll find that most of what you said was wrong. But there is one thing that I would like to ask Ms. Floan about, our city solicitor. Ms. Floan, Councillor Farkas read a document from a third-party council. Does that have any standing whatsoever in what we're doing here?
Your Worship, thank you for the question. No, it doesn't. It is just simply an opinion based on some facts that were provided to the individual. I am not able to tell you exactly what facts were provided to the individual, so it is just simply someone's opinion.
So what is the correct procedure here when council, when anyone, a member of the public, files a complaint about a member of council? What actually happens?
So, Your Worship, the process is outlined in the Code of Conduct bylaw, and in that bylaw, there is a complaint that's filed. The item goes to the Integrity Commissioner for review. The Integrity Commissioner determines whether or not it is validated based on the investigation that he or she carries out. And if it is validated, a report will be prepared and recommendations with respect to sanction will be made to council.
And that's what's before us right now.
Yes, and the procedure bylaw is clear that the report and recommendation will be presented to council in camera or in closed session. Following that, information will be made public.
So
and that is what's before you.
So council has an officer of council whom they hired, a distinguished former judge, who conducted an investigation and wrote this report. Are you aware, Ms. Floan, if this other individual who was quoted by Councillor Farkas conducted any sort of investigation or interviewed anyone else?
Your Worship, I'm not aware. I can't comment on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks very much for that. I'm going to go to Councillor Chu now.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, my name was one of 14 councillors who put in a complaint to the Integrity Commissioner, I believe. And afterwards, I have some thoughts because I'm not kind of person to complain about others, because that if I don't agree with some other people and we're angry at someone, I go to the person directly. If nothing can resolve, I had to just disengage, and then there's no point of complaining because that person is who he or she is, and most likely is not going to change. And so that's why I withdraw my name from that complaint. And that being said, and on this item alone, and I will only be supporting number 4, and I will not be supporting the other one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chu. Councillor Gondek, please.
Your Worship, do we even need number 4 on there?
There was some question with the clerk, and we determined that it would be cleaner if she had council direction on this.
Okay, thank you for that. And you're already calling that one separately, right?
I am.
Great. So the only comments I'm going to make are that I'm surprised that Councillor Farkas is giving this broad, sweeping statement about what council has done to him. I withdrew my name from that complaint because I didn't agree with the investigation process. So I haven't been party to this for quite some time. I did originally sign on because I didn't believe that the manner in which Councillor Farkas carried himself in that meeting was appropriate. But the investigation itself did not give me any confidence, so I removed my name. So I think, Councillor Farkas, if you're going to make broad, sweeping statements about how you've been treated, you'd be well served to maybe identify the people that you think are giving you trouble, rather than trying to make it look like all of council ganged up against you. That's not the case. I can't believe we've spent so much time on this, more than a year after it happened. This is ridiculous today.
Thank you, Councillor Gondek. I rise on a point of privilege and again clarify, I apologize for grouping you with the rest of council. The fact is that in the report itself, it specifies that only Councillor Chu had withdrew his name, so I couldn't speak to that. I did not intend to group either you or Councillor Chu with the entirety of council when I made my statements, so I stand corrected.
Thank you. Councillor Woolley, please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So the report is public now?
Well, it's about to be released as a public document, so you may speak to it, yes.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, so who do I ask questions to? Is it Ms. Sloan or yourself?
About what?
Just, can I speak to items in the report directly right now?
Yes, I'm ruling that you can.
Okay, so the Integrity Commissioner did find that Councillor Farkas had breached Article 11 of the Code of Conduct. And just for the public, I guess that the Code of Conduct component of that, I'm wondering if someone can identify what 11 is of the Code of Conduct.
I don't know if Ms. Sloan has it right handy. I can pull it up in about 5 seconds if she does not.
Your Worship, I do, but I will have to send it to you.
Can you just read it?
So, Ms. Sloan, can you talk about what
Yeah,
that is?
I can certainly read it.
Yeah, just read it, please.
Says, it says, a member must respect and comply with the law and avoid conduct that, in the eyes of a reasonable Calgarian, undermines or has the potential to undermine public confidence in city governance.
Okay, and so the Integrity Commissioner found that Councillor Farkas was in breach of that.
Correct.
Okay, and then I just want to, in regards to an apology, can you talk about what the recommendations or what his sanctions were?
Ms. Sloan, did you want to do that?
Yes. Yeah, if you like, Your Worship, I'm just
Yes, please.
sending you the provision of the Code of Conduct right now. In terms of the sanctions, it was to remove the post, which had been done, and to issue a formal apology to each member of council in private.
Okay, thank you. And then, Your Worship, do we know what is the process here now that we will find out whether Councillor Farkas will undertake those actions or not?
Before I answer that question, Councillor Woolley, the clerk is suggesting that we vote on number 4 first. She's getting a little nervous. It's fun, but I can actually see her when she's facing me. So let's just do that. Can you, it's already been moved and seconded. Let's just go to a quick vote on number 4 here, which is to release this as a public document. So on number 4 then, on number 4, are we agreed? Any
Agreed.
opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. So back to you now, Councillor Woolley. Your question was, what happens if a member of council chooses to reject the recommendations of the Integrity Commissioner and the sanctions as put forth by council, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to be clear, and I'm going to go to Ms. Flown on the actual question, but just to be clear, the report clearly finds that Councillor Farkas has violated Section 11 and that he is requested to apologize individually to the members of council. Number 3 before you is that council apply that sanction. So should council pass that and the member chooses not to abide by the ruling of the Integrity Commissioner, Ms. Flown, what do we do then?
Your Worship, neither the legislation nor the bylaw contemplate that. So that is something that we could take offline and discuss further, but there is no guidance that's offered at this time.
So basically, the bylaw and the code of conduct were written in such a way that, you all signed the code of conduct, that it assumes good faith on part of the members to abide by the process that we have agreed upon.
Okay, that's helpful. And then I know it's not before us as a part of this report, but it has everything to do with it. And that's just, I guess, me to debate now my disappointment in the post today. And I guess, I have expressed a lot of frustrations about this kind of practice in politics, and it is what it is. But I particularly want to clarify a couple of things that Councillor Farkas made in the post and identify them. And I apologize for having to do this. I can't tell you how disappointing this is. But Councillor Farkas makes comment that there will be a secret meeting to discuss potential punishments. This may include, yet again, illegally preventing me from attending meetings. And I just want to be clear that absolutely was not before us today. And the piece is that we actually didn't even know that this was going to be on the agenda today. Nobody did. In fact, the only member of council that knew that this was on the agenda today, actually 2, was Councillor Farkas and yourself. And so I'm worried about this post being released with an incredible amount of misinformation and potentially violating confidentiality. And Your Worship, I guess I'm really just unbelievably disappointed and saddened by this, and just wanted to get your take on that.
Well, once again, I believe in truth in government. I believe in telling people the truth. I believe that you can disagree with people without lying. And I would argue that I believe that there are a number of absolutely straight up false statements in this post. And I think it's a real shame that that politicians anywhere feel that their actual argument cannot stand up for itself. I'll remind you that the councillor in question did remove the post and did admit that it was inaccurate. And yet we find ourselves in this situation where basically there's a bunch of things all highlighted in red and underlined on this post that are not true. And so ultimately, either our system deals with that or the voters deal with that. Whether or not they want to have someone who puts forth a bunch of things that are simply not true.
I know, and I would like to identify the one that says today's secret proceedings are a political stunt from those on council who seem desperate to silence and prevent him from raising important questions regarding the budget and the Green Line.
So let's be very clear on that then, Councillor Woolley, if I may. Number one is, this had nothing to do with any member of council. The rules are that when the Integrity Commissioner delivers a report, it must go on the next council agenda. So there is nothing whatsoever here to do with members of council ganging up or trying to get this put out in the time of COVID. That is, I'll be blunt, that is a lie. It is simply not true. Number two is that when Councillor Farkas wrote this, he had already seen what the sanction was. And the sanction was in no way silencing him or shutting him up. It was asking him to apologize for something that he has already admitted in the past was not, in fact, accurate. So I'm pretty shocked that someone would write something when they've already read the report and they know it's a lie.
Your Worship, I need to correct you in that I have not, I took down that post as a gesture in order to demonstrate
Councillor Farkas,
that
I appreciate that, but I also remember you telling me that you agreed that it was inaccurate.
No, I stand by what I said, and I'd repeat it again in this
Okay.
chamber.
Well, you're welcome to change your mind as you like, but I do recall that conversation with you, and I'm speaking from my own memory.
And then I guess the second part of that is that there was nowhere on today's agenda was the Green Line nor the city budget. And
Nope.
There's a number of just that had nothing to do with today.
That is also correct.
And I just, again, in closing, Councillor Farkas, I'm just really, really unbelievably disappointed in your behavior and actions around this.
Thanks very much, Councillor Woolley. Let's go to Councillor Sutherland, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was actually not going to comment today. And to be honest, the only reason I'm commenting now is because of the postings today and the type of emails that I've received so far today that are accusing me and my character and my integrity of being dishonest and I should resign, etc. I think one of the biggest challenges of my second term is I've seen a significant paradigm shift in the way elected officials and politicians communicate. And I'll be very blunt, is I distinguish the two. As elected official as someone with perhaps a lot of experience in a certain field that are trained, and a politician that is trained to be a politician. And this is our new world of communication, of misinformation and half-truths and conspiracies. And unfortunately, it's obvious by the emails, people are actually believing this to be the truth. So I will swear under the Bible that I had no idea at all that this investigation was coming today. There was no conspiracy against the complainant. This is the actual process and policy with the Integrity Commissioner. And as I said to the response to the people that send the email is, how dare you? How can you even think about this? Well, people are starving and blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? Council didn't do any of this work. The Integrity Commissioner did the investigation and showed us the report. So our work is just deciding today. So that's very misleading, especially when we're one of the few councils in Alberta that are actually doing council meetings, committee meetings, task force. When COVID's going on, we're here and we're working. So to have these emails, to say this type of thing, I don't even know what to say anymore. And to have these people actually believe it as a truth, I don't know what to say. I hope to God that at some point the media start fact-checking and challenging any of us. Me, it doesn't matter who we are, on the stuff we say. Because it's a disservice to our residents. It's just a dark day for me, and I don't even know what to say other than, fine, let's move on with it and let the games continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sutherland. Let us go to Councillor Demong, please.
Wow, don't really know how to follow that. Okay, so I'm very much in agreement with Councillor Gondek in that this investigation, as far as I'm concerned, really didn't go well. I dropped my name from this complaint months ago due to this delay, and I think we really need to go back to the terms of reference and put some kind of time frames on investigations in place. On that note, I will just let anybody else speak.
Thank you, Councillor Demong, and I agree with you as well. Councillor Carra, please.
Yeah, I think like most members of council, not loving the fact that this is before us in the midst of all of this, but these are important processes. I am deeply concerned that the entire project of Western democracy really cannot survive over the long term in the face of a post-truth world. And so, I'm always concerned about a lack of interest in coming to common ground so decisions can be made, and rather to just, I guess, diverge into completely different interpretations of the objective reality that's before us. I was hoping that the commissioner, the ethics commissioner's report before us would at least create a baseline of mutual understanding between all parties. I see that is a pipe dream. I don't wish this to go on any further. I think that a private apology for acts committed in public is not sufficient. I think a public apology, but I mean the fact that the individual who is being sanctioned has stated that they don't believe in any of this and are going to exist in a completely different reality than the reality those of us who inhabit with the report believe in. I just would like to vote against number 3 because I just don't think that sanction is sufficient to the ongoing actions. And I do so from the principled perspective that I think an assault on a collective, objective understanding of the truth and an unwillingness to meet on that foundation is desperately problematic for the long-term survival of the project of democracy. So please call number 3.
I would like to suggest, Councillor Carra, that a slightly different course of action for you, which is
I'm all ears.
Which is the Dale Hodgesian view of the world, which is I would suggest that what you actually would like to do is attempt an amendment to number 3, so that you will understand whether or not council is with you on that or not before you make your decision on your final vote.
I'm interested in what council's position is. I'm also just not interested in, entertaining this much further. But since it is before us, since we are spending time and effort and burning dollars doing this, I guess I will take your suggestion and test council's will. I would like to amend number 3 from recommending that private apology be given to a public apology from the person who's being sanctioned for misleading.
Okay, so you are suggesting that number 3 be replaced with require a public apology from Councillor Farkas.
Yeah, and I do so because not out of disrespect for the ethics advisor or the process. I just think that this is part of an ongoing public situation. And a particular aspect of mistruth has been called out by a third-party investigator as being, misleading. And I think that if you're going to mislead in public, you should apologize in public.
Okay.
And so,
let's see if there's a seconder for that. Is there a seconder? I thought I heard Councillor Farrell, but I'm not sure. Are you there, Councillor Farrell?
Yes, please.
Thank you. All right, I'm just going to go. If you would like to speak on this amendment, put a note in chat right now. Otherwise, I'm going to go straight to the vote. I'll just wait a moment. Okay, Councillor Farkas, please.
Thank you, Worship. There is no way that council can compel this from me. I've stated that I stand by what I said. I do not apologize. I ask that my formal response be the 2 letters that I've distributed. The information I provided was factual. You can remove me from the meeting, but you cannot compel me to say something that I know and Calgarians know is not true.
Okay, thank you.
So no, I will not apologize in private or in public.
Thank
it is
you.
Council which removed me illegally from the meeting.
Again,
that deserves
Councillor
to apologize
Farkas,
to Calgarians.
Councillor Farkas, that has not been a finding, and you cannot accuse your colleagues of illegal behavior. So I would ask you to withdraw that, please.
I do not withdraw that.
In that case, Councillor Farkas, you will find yourself in violation. You may say that it's something you believe to be illegal, but you are not a judge. You cannot make that statement. So if you'd like to say something you believe to be illegal, you're welcome to do so. Councillor,
Yes?
would you like to change your statement, or will you put yourself in a position where you are perhaps again in violation of 11? And this one, I got to tell you, is very clear. You're not a judge. You can't say what's illegal. None of us can.
No, I cannot believe this, Council. I chose to forgive. I wanted to move forward from this. I made very clear to Council.
Councillor Farkas, I'm on the very specific point of privilege, please.
No, I will not withdraw what I have said. This Council does not have the right to revoke my ability to represent my constituents. That right and that duty comes from my constituents.
Okay,
No-
thank
no
you,
matter
thank you,
what you
Councillor
say, it's
Farkas.
not mayor or
So
council that
noted
elected.
that you will not withdraw the untrue statement. Noted. Thank you. All right, let's go to Councillor Chu, please.
Thank you, Worship. And, is Councillor Farkas changing it behind? Yes, he is. He's rubbing a lot of people in the wrong way. But people elected him on that premise. And also that we're in the middle of this crisis, COVID, and the public do not want to see us fighting. They want to see us working together. And now we have this amendment, and I used the description of pitchforking or burning at the stake, like back 200 years ago, right? The witch, we're going to burn it on the stake because the witch do it differently. Like, come on, let's just stop this. Let's put everything behind us. Let's get through this COVID crisis first. If you want to fight, go ahead after that. And that's my opinion.
Thanks.
Thank you. I will not support this amendment. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Chu. Councillor Maglioka?
Thank you, Worship. And, I was one of the ones that removed my name, too, and I had a good conversation with Councillor Farkas, and we came to terms, and I was satisfied with it, and I did remove my name on it, and I will not be supporting number 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Keating?
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, no, I cannot support number 3, but for an absolutely, totally different reason than what I've heard. The post today just reaffirmed the continual behavior. The Integrity Commission did a thorough investigation, came out with an honest recommendation, and that's what we need to abide by. None of this other stuff. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Keating. Councillor Farrell, please.
Not on the amendment, on the name.
Okay, so I'll speak for a moment on the amendment, and then I'll go to Councillor Carra to close. I agree with Councillor Keating. I think that we asked the Integrity Commissioner to do a job. He has recommended a sanction. I don't see any difference between a public and a private apology in this case. We're not going to get either. But I believe in the process. As you know, I always believe in the process. And so I believe that we had an eminent jurist make a statement. He has made a conclusion, and I think we should follow his conclusion rather than substitute our own sanctions. So I also will be voting against this amendment. Councillor Carra to close, please.
Well, as you heard, I was reluctant to move that anyway because I do want to follow the process of the ethics advisor and or the ethics commissioner, and also put this behind us without wasting any more time and effort on it. I will note, though, that it is galling that what's before us today is a report from an independent third party stating that Councillor Farkas has violated Section 11, and Councillor Farkas's remarks are that he feels violated rather than apologetic. And, it just speaks to my earlier statements about the fact that we are living in a post-truth world, and I am very concerned about the future of and the long-term success of the project of democracy in a post-truth world. So with that, closed.
Thank you. On the amendment then, can you call the roll, please, Madam Clerk?
Councillor Collier-Urquhart?
No.
Councillor Davison?
No.
Councillor DeMong?
No.
Councillor Farkas?
No.
Councillor Farrell?
Yes.
Councillor Gondek?
Nope.
Councillor Jones?
No.
Councillor Keating,
No.
Councillor Maglioka,
No.
Councillor Sutherland,
No.
Councillor Woolley,
No.
Councillor Craw,
No.
Councillor Chahal,
No.
Councillor Chu,
No.
Mayor Nenshi.
No.
It's lost, Your Worship, 114.
Thank you. Let's go back to the debate on the main then. Let's go to Councillor Chahal.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I just wanted also to make a few remarks on this issue. I had removed my name also on the complaint after speaking with the Integrity Commissioner and conversations as well, with Councillor Farkas over time on. And I thought we had got past this, and I wasn't even aware that this was going to be coming up today. And I actually thought the situation was dealt with, and was quite surprised with everything that's gone on today. But one thing that does concern me, and it was, Councillor had read it through the letter that was provided to him, was the erosion of public confidence and trust. And I think that's quite concerning, because the actions today that have transpired are quite concerning, and most of them identified with Councillor Woolley's comments. And so I just wanted to share my thoughts on how I saw this transpiring and where we got to today, and ensure that the public knew where I stood on this issue.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chahal. Councillor Maglioka, did you want to go again, or did you say your piece?
No, I'm good, Your Worship. Thank you.
Councillor Keating, same question. Councillor Keating.
I guess I could say, is there anything worth saying that would change the situation? And there's absolutely nothing worth saying that could change this, because nothing will change, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Farrell?
I think most of it's been said. But I do want to reiterate that we as leaders have a duty to the truth and the duty to integrity. And it's, I think Councillor Carra nailed it when he said it's a great problem of democracy. Democracy insists on the idea that truth matters. And so I'll support the recommendations, and I'm very disappointed in your reaction today, Councillor Farkas. I'm very disappointed.
Thank you. Councillor Collier-Cart, please.
Thank you. I'll be brief. It's, having been a human rights commissioner where we had to execute our decisions within 60 days, I've certainly lost track of this file. But early on in that process, I had conversations with Mr. Lavecchio as well, and we were, and certainly was very willing to remove my name from this complaint because we were trying to find a path forward that we could kind of reconcile this issue. So I'm disappointed, discouraged with the passage of time that's gone on this file. And for those reasons, I won't be supporting the recommendations. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Collier-Cart. Just before I call on Councillor Davison to close, I wanted to say a couple of things myself. In fact, Councillor Farrell got to most of what I wanted to say, which is, as much as people would try to politicize this, it's important for us to step back and understand what's happened here. This council was the first council in Western Canada to create a system whereby people could complain about councillors' behavior, the mayor's behavior, outside of a process that is only results in come back in 4 years when there's an election. And I too am disappointed that it took so long for this report to come, but this process is what this process is. And ultimately, this is not about ganging up on one member of council. It's not about attempting to silence a member of council. Good Lord, if we could do that, my life would be much easier. What this is about is whether or not councillors have a requirement to tell the truth. It's about whether or not councillors have a requirement to actually present themselves to the public in a way that is true, that is factual. And what we have before us is a report that says a member of council did not do that, that he violated a portion of the code of conduct, which all of us sign when we're elected, because he was not truthful. And so put all the politics you want on that, pull all the false accusations, put all the drama and the prima donna behavior on it. Fundamentally ask yourself one question. As a politician, do you have to tell the truth to your constituents? I think you do. That's why I'm voting for this. Councillor Davison, to close, please.
Thanks, Your Worship. It's funny because I too am often a fan of Churchill quotes. I found this quote that I think is important for today. Councillor Farrell, don't catch me on the first word. It's the quote, not my feelings. So it says, men occasionally stumble over the truth, but most of them pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing had happened. A lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has had a chance to get its pants on. It's a fine thing to be honest, but it's also very important to be right. And I think as we talk a lot about truth today, I would have to say that I'll reiterate what I said in camera, and that today has been one of the darkest days in my short career as an elected official. It is more than obvious that the trained politicians can intentionally mislead the public with no consequences. And what's even worse about that to me is that citizens of Calgary buy it, because nobody looks beyond the surface. Nobody looks to actually what has happened, what has transpired. It's instant gratification. It's clickbait, all of those things. But ultimately, today, folks, what we have to do is consider this matter closed and behind us, because I would think we all agree that we have much, much more important things to do with our time. Frankly, I think this is 2 hours of our lives we'll never get back. But putting those feelings aside, our Integrity Commissioner has made a call. And I think Councillor Carra had said it, there's a principle that he wants to follow here. I would ask that everybody set aside their principles today and support exactly what is on the screen and before us. We need not go around the table and say who took names off what, where, when, what conversations have happened. This is the process. And to Your Worship, your point, we are the first council in Canada to have a process like this. And it's important not to question the process, or why didn't it come sooner, or could it have been done better. The process is what the process is. If you want to make amendments to the process, we can certainly look into that. But what we fundamentally have before us today is a process that has been unanimously supported by us and previous councils. And I think it's important to also remember one thing that I also said. You can't change how people act. You can only change how you personally deal with them. Today is a good example that I don't anticipate things are going to change. I don't think you should anticipate that Councillor Farkas is going to apologize. I don't think, you have to anticipate that he may or may not go to Facebook and post things from time to time. That's his right. What we have to change is how we act. Council, you have the ability to just ignore it and move on. And that's ultimately what we have to do here. Ask yourself fundamentally, are a few emails that you might get in support of something you don't agree with worth battling 2 hours of our time over? Probably not. So I would just urge everybody to support what's on the screen here today. Put aside your fundamental differences with whether the process was followed or not. And let's consider this matter closed, because the one thing Councillor Farkas had said is right. We have many more important things to worry about, including the pandemic and a financial crisis. Let's focus on that and not this. Thanks, Your Worship. Closed.
Thanks very much. So, on the recommendation before you, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Councillor Demong?
Yes.
Councillor Farkas?
No.
Councillor Farrell?
Yes.
Councillor Gondek,
Nope.
Councillor Jones,
No.
Councillor Keating,
Yes.
Councillor Maglioka,
No.
Councillor Sutherland,
Yes.
Councillor Woolley,
Yes.
Councillor Kra,
Yes.
Councillor Chahal,
Yes.
Councillor Chu,
No.
Councillor Collier-Urquhart,
No.
Councillor Davison,
Yes.
Mayor Nenshi.
Yes.
Carried, Your Worship, 9-6.
Thank you very much. All right. That takes us to the end of the meeting today.